The thing I cannot get out of my head is Ethan walking straight into Sidwell's orbit like he already knows he may not walk out of it clean. Not because he is careless in the simple sense, not because he has some childish need to prove himself, but because there is something almost too deliberate about the danger here. I keep picturing him stepping close enough to Sidwell to be noticed, close enough to irritate him, close enough to make Sidwell forget strategy and react from anger. And honestly, there's something about this that does not sit right with me. Because Ethan has always had that reckless streak, but this feels like a different kind of reckless. This feels planned. This feels like a trap Ethan may be setting with his own body as the bait. I know the obvious concern is Josslyn. Once the news of her disappearance spreads, everything around Port Charles changes shape. People start looking at the usual suspects. Carly panics in the way Carly panics, with fear and fury tangled so tightly together that she can barely separate instinct from evidence. Sunny begins asking questions, and I can't help but feel that the first name thrown into the fire would be Brennan. It would make sense on the surface. Brennan has secrets. Brennan has enemies. Brennan's connection to Carly and Valentine has been messy enough that suspicion would almost naturally drift toward him. But I keep coming back to one uncomfortable thought. What if Brennan is too obvious? I could be wrong, but Brennan kidnapping Josslyn out of revenge feels almost too clean, too easy, too convenient. Josslyn being tied to the WSB complicates it. Her loyalty to Brennan, or at least her place inside that world, makes the idea of him targeting her feel less certain than Carly may want it to feel. Maybe Carly truly believes Brennan is responsible because fear needs a face. Maybe Sunny listens, but he does not fully accept it. There is a difference between hearing an accusation and believing it in your bones, and Sunny has survived too long by confusing those two things. I can see Sunny confronting Brennan, especially if Brennan is already being held somewhere after everything with Nina, Valentine, and Carly. I can imagine Sunny pressing him, testing him, trying to pull truth out of silence. But there is a possibility that Brennan's answers, even if they are half-truths, do not point back to himself. They may point somewhere darker or stranger or more indirect. And that is where Sidwell starts to become harder to ignore. Because if Josslyn was digging into something she was not supposed to find, then the motive changes. This is no longer just personal revenge. This becomes containment. This becomes someone trying to bury information by burying the person who found it. And when I look at Sidwell, I do not see someone who panics loudly. I see someone who calculates until he doesn't. And when he doesn't, when that temper breaks through, people get hurt. That is why Ethan's possible move feels so dangerous to me. Sunny may send him out to find Josslyn, but Ethan may decide that finding her through normal channels is too slow. Maybe there are no clean leads. Maybe Brennan's trail goes cold. Maybe Cassius, the person who may have actually attacked and taken Josslyn, stays hidden in plain sight because no one is looking at him closely enough yet. And maybe Ethan realizes that the only way to get inside the truth is to make Sidwell drag him there. It sounds insane when I say it like that. It sounds almost too risky to be real. But Ethan has never been the kind of person who only chooses the safest door. I cannot help but feel that if he suspects Josslyn is being held somewhere connected to Sidwell, maybe even Windermere itself, he would not wait politely for proof. Windermere already carries that cold, haunted weight, the kind of place where secrets do not feel hidden so much as stored. If Cassius brought Josslyn there, and Sidwell allowed her to remain locked away in his castle, then Sidwell is involved, whether he personally grabbed her or not. And that detail matters. It matters because Sidwell may try to keep his hands technically clean. He may let Cassius do the physical violence, let others move the pieces, let the blame scatter in different directions. But allowing Josslyn to be imprisoned at Windermere would still make him part of it. Maybe not the hand that struck first, but the power that made the cage possible. So I keep seeing Ethan preparing for this in a way that looks almost casual from the outside. Maybe he does not bring a phone because a phone is too easy to find, too easy to destroy, too easy for Sidwell's people to check. Maybe he chooses something smaller, something hidden, some compact tracker that can survive a search or a beating. Perhaps I am overthinking this, but Ethan using himself as a living locator makes a strange kind of sense. If he cannot find Josslyn from the outside, then he lets the enemy carry him to her. The part that makes my stomach tighten is the provocation. Ethan would have to push Sidwell just enough. Not too much at first, maybe. Just enough to get under his skin. Then more. Then one step too far. And there is something about this that does not sit right with me, because Ethan would be gambling on Sidwell's rage having a limit. But what if it doesn't? Dalton's death hangs over this theory like a warning nobody should ignore. Sidwell has already shown that anger can turn fatal fast. If Dalton could be shot because he made Sidwell furious, then Ethan provoking him is not some clever trick with guaranteed results. It is a death wish dressed up as strategy. Ethan may think he can control the outcome, but men like Sidwell are dangerous precisely because they make you believe there's a pattern right before they break it. Still, I keep returning to the idea that Ethan may not fight back. That is the part that feels the most Ethan and the most terrifying. He may let Sidwell hit him. He may let himself look weaker than he is. He may even pretend to be more injured than he really is. Or maybe the pain will be real and the pretending will only be in how much strength he hides. If Sidwell believes Ethan is defeated, then he may throw him somewhere secure without thinking too hard. And if that place is the same room where Josslyn is being held, then Ethan's reckless plan suddenly becomes the only plan that could have worked. I can almost feel the silence of that moment. Ethan dropped into the cell, bruised, maybe bleeding, maybe trying to breathe through the pain without letting Josslyn see how bad it is. And Josslyn, who has already been through fear and confusion and betrayal, would have to decide whether Ethan's arrival is rescue or disaster. Because from her side of it, he would look captured too. He would look like another victim. But that is where the tracker changes everything. There is a possibility that Ethan does not need to overpower anyone. He does not need to break the door. He does not need to defeat Sidwell with fists. He only needs to stay alive long enough to send the signal. Just one hidden button. One quiet movement. One chance for Sonny and whoever else is searching to finally know where to go. And I have to admit, there is something emotionally sharp about that. Ethan saving Josslyn not by escaping, but by allowing himself to be trapped beside her. The truth could be more complicated than it appears, though. Maybe Sidwell knows more than Ethan thinks. Maybe the tracker is found. Maybe Cassius becomes the wild card. Because if Cassius is the one who actually attacked Josslyn, then he may not want Sidwell's secrets exposed either. Or maybe Sidwell does not intend to keep Ethan alive long enough for the plan to work. That is the part I keep circling back to. Ethan's courage may be real, but courage does not make him invincible. And then there is Sonny. If Sonny sends Ethan into this, even indirectly, he may have to live with the possibility that he sent him into a trap with no clean exit. Sonny is good at command, good at pressure, good at pulling people into orbit around his instincts. But this situation feels unstable. Too many people have motives. Too many people are hiding pieces. Carly may be blaming Brennan. Sonny may be looking towards Sidwell. Cassius may be moving in the shadows. Brennan may be guilty of something, but not this. And Josslyn is caught in the middle of all of it. I cannot help but feel that the real tension is not simply whether Josslyn gets rescued. It is what Ethan's choice reveals about everyone else. If he is willing to be beaten and locked away just to find her, then that says something about the level of desperation around this disappearance. It says the normal paths have failed. It says the people who should have answers are either lying, trapped, or looking in the wrong direction. And maybe that is why this theory bothers me so much. Because it feels heroic, yes, but not cleanly heroic. It feels like one of those General Hospital moves where bravery and self-destruction are almost impossible to separate. Ethan may save Josslyn, but what part of himself does he risk leaving behind in that cell? And if the signal goes out, if Sonny storms in, if the rescue finally happens, will that really expose the truth, Or will it only reveal the next locked door? I keep coming back to the same uneasy question. What if Ethan finds Josslyn exactly the way he planned, but by the time help arrives, Sidwell has already realized he was never the hunter in that moment. He was the one being led?
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.